Well, it's good. You can go back and listen to it, and it's always interesting for people because you're going to not catch everything. And then I'll say something, and you're going to kind of get it, and then you're going to want to listen to it 4 or 5 times to go, oh, that makes sense. So being able to have this recorded, it just helps you absorb what we're talking about.
That sounds good.
Okay, so, oh my God, you've been binge watching my YouTube channel. You found me a few days ago.
I found you, like, right when I started the low-calorie portion, almost, and so I immediately, of course, wanted to emotionally eat, because I was like, wow, this is really heavy, and I don't have food, and now I realize that I don't even know if I need to be on HCG right now. And so, but then I'm like, okay, well, I'm on HCG, and can I switch over to see it as something healthy for my body?
Well, there's,
like,
okay, so you've watched 20 of my YouTubes. Are you in the Patreon account?
I did, yes.
Okay, so have you been able to watch current videos?
You know, I've kind of just been, like, finding ones that seemed relevant.
Yeah.
So I've gone, like, back. Like, I'll kind of search on YouTube keywords and then find it on Patreon.
Yes,
so.
okay. Okay, because the Patreon account is really more current with the approach. What I wrote in Weight Loss Apocalypse is still relevant. It's still important. You really should at some point read the book. But the approach that I have today is evolved. It's better. It's just more honed in on the actual issue. So it's okay if you haven't read Weight Loss Apocalypse.
You're coming in and out, kind of like where you fade in and then go back out again.
Is this better?
Yeah.
That's because I've had the phone. I had it sitting at my desk, so.
Oh, okay.
I just got it up to my mouth. Okay, so you're, how many rounds of the HCG protocol have you done?
Oh, in my entire life, probably 7.
Okay, include the ones you started but didn't finish.
Yeah, probably like 7.
Okay.
Or so. Yeah.
So is this your 7th round or 8th round?
I'm not even sure because I almost haven't counted.
It's all right. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We don't need to pick that apart. You've just done it enough over the course of the years that you're probably predictably just like, why the hell do I have to keep on doing this? I got to do it again. Okay, you got to gear up for it. And I'm assuming for you, I'm making an assumption here. You have a hard time once you're off the protocol managing your issues with food.
Yes.
Okay.
The very last time I went, I've been going through just like a lot of stuff on like I realized I have a whole thing that I'm going through like a crazy time in general in my life. But the very last time I did the protocol, I did get a lot of anxiety about getting off.
Mm-hmm.
The time before that, when I got off, I went like into the keto phase and then was like headachy and weak because I didn't eat enough carbs and I've, done all sorts of ridiculous diets or whatever, but.
Okay, so, I'm assuming the protocol is just like, it's extreme, but there's other things you've probably done. How old are you?
I'm 37.
Okay, you're 30.
I'm 38. I'm 38, actually, yes. So.
Okay, 38, and how long have you felt that you needed to lose weight?
I actually almost I kind of have a bit of a weird experience in the fact that I actually, when I was thinner, like, I get triggered by people who, like, kind of hated on the thin people because I felt like I've experienced that to where I almost didn't want to be thin or, like, being looked at by men and, like, I don't know, just the whole... I almost felt like the last time that I really started to gain weight, I was actually felt safe being at a bigger weight.
Okay, so that just tells me there is a body image that you think is better than another. So being too thin is something that is gross, grotesque. There's an image in your head.
It's like people, like I feel like people have like judged me, and then I
see. Okay.
But then.
So, that to me, it sounds like if you're too thin, there might be, you might feel disconnected from others in the lifestyle, like a lenient lifestyle. Does it have to do with that? So, like, if I'm too thin and what it takes to stay this thin is a little too crazy, that it disconnects me.
So, I think what I've kind of gained from the videos, well, I come from, like, my dad is like a major religious zealot sort of personality. My mother would definitely be a thin supremacist.
Okay.
Who loves, like, health. Like, she's, you know, under the guise of health is like, you know, but I've watched her with her eating. And, I had, like, gotten out of a marriage. I actually really enjoyed, like, I was doing martial arts. I've done dancing. Like, I really enjoy that type of thing. I had 2 kids. I was feeling great about myself. But then I can see where I also had that position of lack. Mm-hmm. So I get in, and I almost, like, I wasn't able to, like, handle other people's, like, judgments or whatever. Like, because I actually ended up getting pregnant in a relationship, and then I don't know, it's hard to, like, I can't sum it up really quickly, but, but it basically, I almost, like, it's just, I go from, like, extreme shame of wanting to be who I am to then, like, I'm a stay-at-home mom currently, and I've basically been living in a box for years now, doing, like, supposedly the right thing or something because of some sort of religious indoctrination, and I feel like I'm going crazy. I'd actually like to get a job or something, and then, but it's almost right now for me, like, I almost feel like my needs because my husband makes enough money, so it's more convenient, obviously, for me to stay home.
How old are your kids?
I have a 13, an 8, and a 5. Okay. So.
Well, you're kind of right on that edge. You're right on the edge of having your youngest in school, so you're kind of right there.
And I've actually been homeschooling, so I transitioned my older one just because he was also middle school. It's like he needed to transition, so I do have the 2 younger ones who I am planning on transitioning to school next year.
How's that feel?
You know, it feels really good. Okay. I know I kind of, I get, like, kind of defensive, or if I don't agree with the system or something but I know I need to transition them, and I need to, like, start doing some things for myself.
Okay, so let me see if I can, because I'm kind of getting the overall energy of what you're saying. You're miserable.
I am so miserable.
Okay, so
I'm actually very angry.
Ooh, okay, I'll take that. Anger means that you're at least feeling that you have the capacity to change things, but you're feeling victimized. So you're not seeing that you're the cause. You're seeing that there's something around you that's the cause. So, but I'll take it. At least you're not in apathy, you know, which is hopeless. I'm at home. I can't leave. I'm held hostage to this house. I can't leave the kids. I can't do anything different. You're at least having a sense of confidence and competence enough to do something different and to have a stance around it. However, I think what you might be seeking is a complete unbrainwashing. You are done.
Yeah.
You don't know what to do, but you know you don't want to do what you've been doing, but you don't know what to do.
Exactly. I really, like, as I'm listening to your videos, I almost didn't realize the brainwashing, but when I saw it from a different perspective, it was almost like that was what I know. I want to vomit. Like,
yes, it probably was like, did I just hear that and she's right, and holy shit, this is going to change my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. This is exciting.
It's good. I do feel, because like I feel very angry, almost like like I actually really enjoy like the martial arts, and I love like those combat fitness classes. Like I'm kind of, but I've almost held myself in like a weaker position as like a female and like this stay at home. But like that's kind of not how I feel. Like so I kind of feel like I'm just trying to calm, cool, and collectively like transition into something that feels more empowering for me.
Well, maybe more authentic. The one thing that I would suggest, just to sit back and observe, is how much of what you're attracted to is an equal opposite of what you've been in, which is passive, misogynistic, kind of sitting back. Yeah. And you're seeking the opposite. It may not even be authentic. It's just compensatory. Right. You're compensating. So if you were given freedom from it all, like if there was no, brain control, no programming, and you were set free, what would you really like to do? Complete freedom.
I'd almost have to think about that, because I almost like the whole concept of like the supremacy thing. It bothers me to such a degree right now that it's so like I don't want to be mean to people, but
well,
when I get, it's like I feel angry about it, basically, in a sense, and like I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people acting that way, and I don't know how to I don't know.
Well, you don't want. Well, what you're probably feeling is there's a victim position. That's where anger comes from. Anger is part of those lower states of consciousness, which is part of the survival. So that's a survival-oriented emotion, and it's very self-defensive and self-centered as a victim. It's still all about me, even though you can say you did it to me, but ultimately it's part of it, how much of it is innocent. Total innocent. How many people in, let's just say, thin supremacy, religious supremacy, know what the hell they're doing?
Yeah.
They don't.
And when I think that, I almost like, when I really think about the whole world and just all the brainwashing, it makes you just want to like cry. It's sad that we're all like, I realize that I'm angry. It's like turning to the next person in shackles saying, you're not doing good enough or something.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like, that's crazy. It's all crazy. So I kind of like, today I started feeling more angry, and I know that I feel that, but then I do also sense that emerging compassion.
Well, because you realize that what they're doing, you were doing the same thing, and you didn't know any better. You didn't know any different. And it takes some relative awareness or relative perspective that doesn't just come to someone. There has to be some type of guidance to get that. And you just so happen to fall upon it on a YouTube video from some weird lady. Right? So... But you were also, maybe what you might want to see too is you might not have realized that you were miserable until you realized, holy shit, I'm miserable in this. No wonder I'm doing this and that. No wonder I have this and that. And all of a sudden, you're now sitting here going, holy shit, what am I doing? What's going on? What should I do? What decisions have I made? How much of these decisions and these life paths am I taking that are completely not what I really want to do, but what I think I should do, so that my parents don't judge me?
That's my entire life, because I feel like both my parents have like massive supremacy issues.
Well, that's narcissistic, and it's also very generational.
Gone into it, right?
Yeah, in that generation, you and I are in the same age group. That generation is not as evolved as they'd like to think they are.
Right.
We're coming out. We are the ones that have the consequences of what they've been doing, but they didn't know what they were doing. They're trying to compensate for what their parents did, you know,
Right.
and their parents were in the Depression, dealing with all sorts of trauma from World War II. You know, who do we blame? Hitler?
Right.
Who do we blame?
Yeah. It goes back so far.
We just need to, you know, go back to blaming Obama for everything. That'll make everything better. Ridiculous. So it's you have to some degree see the innocence in your parents, even though they have this narcissistic idea that they're right and everybody's wrong.
Right.
You know, because by being angry, guess what you're doing?
Well, I either hate other people or hate myself.
You're doing I'm right and they're wrong. You're no different than they are because they're angry too.
Right.
They're angry at the world. And they live in anger. So it makes it really predictable.
Yeah, no,
right?
It's crazy when I think about it because when I just never put two and two together as far as like why I was feeling the way I was feeling. So,
well, because you've been held hostage by these programs, never thinking that the programs were the source of your personal depression. Right. You know, I talk about dogma a lot in my YouTubes because dogma is what we're actually dealing with. Dogma is unquestionable truths or a truth given to you by an authority that you're not to question.
Right.
And that's basically our culture.
And I almost can see how I actually was somehow under the belief, like, that I didn't know how to do it myself. So I should definitely listen to this authority because I certainly couldn't do it any better. Like, there was this weird, like...
you're getting it. So that's good. Yeah. Because you can see then, what should you be angry at? Your insecurity or the people that gave you something to feel secure? Who should you be angry at?
Yeah.
Because you were the one that didn't feel adequate. You're the one that said, I can't handle it. So therefore, you're the one seeking some authority that you gave all of your free will and power to.
Right.
So you've never really taken the ownership of your free will. You've never actually taken ownership. I mean, you can say you have at different times at a different degree, but behind the background were these ideologies that you were still trying to hold yourself to. I should get a divorce. Well, I got a divorce. Well, shit, I'm a failure. Now I have to prove myself. Okay, well, I'm proving myself, and now I'm opening myself up. Oh, well, crap, now I have a boyfriend, I'm pregnant, and I didn't get married. Oh, look at me, I'm a piece of shit. I mean, how much of your...
Now I have to make this better.
Yeah, and now I should compensate for some old school belief system that doesn't even have any relevance today because we've evolved beyond it. Big time.
And
you know?
What also is almost crazy is when you finally say, okay, I, like, release myself of the whole shackles, the whole paradigm. I don't even know, like, it's, you know, like, you step out of a dark cave. I don't know what I want.
Well, and that's
literally just discovered possibly what it might mean to live from the heart, and I actually don't even know.
You don't need to know. Really you don't. You just need it. The hard part about it is the willingness to go into death, which is what it's the vulnerability of having free agent. Being a free agent has not just a free agent with the body, meaning I'm okay with the body I'm at and what happens to it and how it works. I don't have to, enslave myself to the body and fixing it, managing it anymore. There's that religion you need freedom from, right? Then there's the religious indoctrination that absolutely has gone in to some degree, been good, and to others' degree, it's been probably horrible for you.
Yeah.
It's not all black and white, but there's some things that are really old and archaic ways of thinking that are very, very satanic, if you want to call it that, in terms of hate, diminishing, non-grace, non-forgiveness, narcissistic supremacy. Yeah, it isn't what it's been distorted and twisted over centuries, and no one's questioned it. And then just being held to it, and you carry guilt and shame about who you really are as a person, when who you really are as a person is friggin' fantastic. But the belief system is what should be guilty and ashamed, right?
Yes.
Because it's
right.
above and beyond human reality. You're supposed to be a rock. Don't even breathe or exist.
Right. It's perfect image.
That has no free agency in it. You cannot be a free agent. You are not free. You are a slave to that ideology.
Right. Absolutely.
And no, people won't see that. Right? Because you glamorize it. But.
I love how you say, like, the biggest, like, I will be the biggest loser. Because I know on the flip side of that, I'm actually the biggest winner. Like,
because you're free.
I love that. I was like, yes, I will be the biggest loser. Although I say that, and I can still, in my twisted, demented, old thinking pattern, be like, well, I should lose weight or something. I'm like, what voice is this? Like,
so that means that there are beliefs that you need to resolve. There are ideas around it. There's something that you get out of that thinness that you still hope and want for. So, and you might be using it to cope for some underlying fear problems about your ability and capacity.
Yeah.
Oh, my phone is going to freaking die. Hold on, I need my daughter to grab up. I'm going to have her grab me Hey, Chloe, will you grab me a charger? Yeah, I'm right in the middle of a session, and I'm recording, and I just need a charger. Oh, no, I'm okay. No, I'm right in the middle of filming. It's Hold on, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I hope this works. Is this charged enough?
It should.
Okay. Okay, my daughter Chloe came to the rescue. Okay. This is a lot. I know you just happened upon all this.
I did, yeah. And I'm wondering,
So I'm really curious as to what made you think, I'm going to do it. I'm going to wrap it up, but we're going to talk.
I just realized that, like, the only reason I want to go off the diet, but I know the only reason is because I just want to, like, eat. And then I'm like, that's not the most loving thing that I can do for myself. And I really want to just do what's the most loving. Like, can I actually be sane enough to possibly do this diet out of love, or do I just... I'm almost afraid, like, I see the abyss, the hole that, like, I will just sink into if my heart just feels like it just, like as this weighs on my conscience, I'll feel more guilty if I back away.
Okay, so...
I want to have the courage to go forward.
Okay, so pause a second.
Ask Robin, what should I do? Because I just want to go forward in, like, a sane way.
Okay, I need to ask a lot of questions. That's what I need to do. I hear what you're saying, but I need to ask questions because I need to I need to orient myself. And the key to this working is you telling me the truth. Don't lie. Don't hold back. Don't repress the truth thinking I'm going to judge you. Just bring it up. Everything you tell me needs to be the truth, okay? Okay, so is there in any way an idea in your mind of what you think that this protocol is going to do for you? To include health. And I put quotes around that because that's brainwashing, right?
Yeah, well, I guess I actually left home recently. I was done. I didn't know how to get out.
Okay.
I somehow landed in an apartment in Florida. I'm from New Orleans. and I am homeschooling, doing things here, and I knew that being by the beach was going to be good. And logically, I just thought that maybe losing weight would be like a good next step. Like,
Okay.
I have no plan.
Okay.
Just like,
got it. Okay, so that integrity is coming from, like you have acknowledged already, lack, and the idea that the body will fill the voids, that it will give you a sense of confidence. And I assume you're coming out of that marriage feeling not confident.
And I'm not even out of the marriage. So
yeah, you're just taking a break.
Still, although we have relationship issues, it's like as far as
commitment. Are you still committed to him?
What? Yeah.
Okay.
What, committed? Oh, yeah. I mean, it's more of I think he enables my victimhood because like I have issues. I think with like setting up an identity for myself.
Okay. So he sounds like a good guy. He sounds like a good person who loves you and is giving you space right now to figure your shit out.
Yeah, pretty much. He's kind of like white on rice, but he's
awesome.
He's there. He doesn't want to leave my side. But
yeah, okay. So that's awesome. So let's just put that aside. We don't need to put time into that, okay?
Okay.
Because this is a personal issue you're having. I have a feeling, and I could be wrong, so I'm not like your psychic person right now, but I do have a feeling that these issues that you have within yourself, as they resolve and as you blossom, your marriage is going to thrive.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for any relationship to thrive when someone in the relationship is so self-centered in their survival. It's very, very difficult. He must be very special. So I just want to put that aside and let you know he's very special. Because you have probably been so self-centered and self-absorbed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's allowed it. He hasn't victimized himself and played the victim game with it. He's just allowed it. With that said.
Yeah. Although I would say that there was some other issues, but yeah, I guess
I don't think they're relevant. They're probably like, well, yeah, that's to be expected. So let's move on now. Yeah, so come back to where I'm taking you right now. Okay. The idea that losing weight is a fantasy around feeling in control. So you're probably feeling like you're spiraling down. You're losing your shit and you're trying to get some grip on control. Yeah. And that's usually why body image is, because it's mine and it doesn't involve anybody else. It's just me and this body. So it's a very destructive, toxic relationship that you created with your body. The idea that it will lose weight and you will feel better about it is so narcissistic, right? Because you're positioning the body to be inferior and it has to improve for me to be confident.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Okay. So, next question. How much do you weigh and how tall are you?
I'm 5 foot. I weigh 150, like 6 or 7 right now.
Okay. So, you are not morbidly obese, right? So, you really don't have, I know that we could look at you and go, you're probably, overweight, but that's relative to whose standards, and it's a sign of stress on the body and your mind anyway. So, we could say it's actually quite healthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I recently got like a hormone thing. My hormones are perfect balance, I was told.
For now, if you stay in this state of mind, it's not going to be.
I want to ruin that for myself. But, yeah.
So there really is no need for this protocol. And the other thing I want you to know, the next place I'm going to go is your relationship with food. I know you're like, it would be so gratifying for me to be able to go eat food. And there's something wrong that I'm feeling with that. Okay. Am I on target there?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I didn't want food to be my cocaine of choice.
It's not. It's not. It's just trust me. It's not.
I would feel worse if I did that.
just trust me, that thought process is another form of brainwashing. It is not your form of cocaine. Thinness actually is. Religion is. All of this bullshit indoctrination is not food. Okay, you're wired to seek food when you feel deprived of it, insecure with it, and that is not an addiction. It's called survival mode. Yeah, that's, again, the diet industry loves that one because it's such an intense fear mongering that, like, don't eat the sugar, it's going to kill you and you're addicted to it. No, you're not.
Yeah, totally. The whole sugar demon thing.
Oh,
like, the sugar made me do it. It's the sugar. Yeah.
And I am not saying that eating a ton of sugar is really healthy or good for your brain or good for anything, but the demonizing of it is actually has consequences that impact the person who eats it and believes that shit. It's kind of like, how is having sex for someone who morally feels that they're sinning as they do it?
Right.
You're going to have problems. Yeah. Okay? So
I think I have that problem.
I do too. Just FYI, I was fear-mongered to death around the fact that having premarital sex was the deadliest sin to murder. I could go the rest of my life without sex and be just fine. That's not normal.
Right. Yeah, totally.
You know, it can absolutely affect how you relate. So, with that said, any weight you lose on this protocol, if you in any way try to keep it off, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have problems. So any weight you lose right now, if you attach to it in any way, your issues with food are going to come all the way back and then some after the process. So you have to really go into yourself and ask, it's not about food. That is not where I would take you right now.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if it was safe to get off, because they say, like, oh, it's
here's the thing. If you're going to go back to dieting when this is over, you should just stop right now.
Right.
So, there is, so many people find me because of the HCG stuff, and they didn't even... And this happens a lot. And I'm okay if you stay on the protocol. I'm okay if you get off of it. Now, if you were to say I'm 5 foot and 115 pounds, I'd be like, get the hell off, you're anorexic. Right?
Right.
So you do have enough body fat to sustain the process and to make the protocol actually equal to your hormonal balance. So you shouldn't have symptoms of starvation. However, if in any way you are getting off on the weight loss, you just need to know it's going to come back.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Even if we work together. You know, a lot of people process through what we're working at, but they repress that pleasure they're getting. I'm just going to say I feel so much better even though they're repressing how much they love their new jeans and their thin waist, you know.
Right. Actually, yesterday, because I was like, I'm going to get off. And then I was like, maybe it's more loving to stay on. But I went to the mall and I bought pants in my size. Because I was like, I'm fine. I'm going to stay this size. And I'm totally okay with that. I just want to be better. Like, I just want to be happy, you know, basically.
Well, let's talk about being indifferent about your weight and your size. How much have you relied on your body image in the past to either feel better about yourself or has been a source of shame about yourself?
I almost feel like I felt more shame when I was thinner because if people told me that, like I've had people be like, you look like a Victoria's Secret model, or
you didn't like the attention.
To date me because
you don't like the attention.
I absolutely.
Did you find that when you got that attention that your eating issues got worse?
Yes.
Okay.
And I tend, because I get angry, like I could have done like this samba dancing parade or whatever. I didn't do it because like if somebody looks at me like lustfully, I would like to punch them in the face. Like I actually have like I get really sensitive about it. I'm mad. because I can't feel like, or I don't like the attention.
Okay, we're going to have to go into that because there's all sorts of, I feel like you're not quite sure why. I'm getting the sense you really don't know why. You have a response to it, but there is a response that you get to it, and it's unpleasant and it's defensive. Yeah. Even though you aspire to be that size.
Well, I actually, like, I had done HCG, kept the weight off for a really long time. I really enjoyed flamenco dancing, and then went into martial arts, which is a more co-ed and aggressive situation. There's a lot of women and men, but it's more like a sort of alpha situation. But I really enjoy heavy physical fitness. Like, that was something I did enjoy, but I couldn't handle emotionally being around people like who were kind of like egotistical.
Okay, there's projecting going on there. You're projecting. Yeah. That's you feeling jealous, and that's how it feels. Is their ego? You're projecting your issues onto them. And that although there are people that do present themselves as superior, but in general, the person who's feeling and doesn't like it is also projecting their inferiority onto them. So they think they're better than me. You don't like feeling inferior. And in reality, you're feeling inferior with those people. So there is you're just insecure.
Yeah. No, I did feel inferior. I really wanted to be, like, included in the group. And then,
okay. See, you got to get underneath all this bullshit.
Yeah.
So that inferiority that you were experiencing, there's more to what you surface see. When you say, I get thinner and I get attention, I get angry. That's a surface awareness.
Right.
I went and I do these fitness and these boot camps and I work hard, and that person's so egotistical, I can't stand it. That's your inferiority. That's your surface answer that you're not questioning, that you're not, there is something underneath that. And so,
I see that there is something there, and I do definitely feel like I did not have the confidence. Like, I see that it was like a personal issue.
Well, your belief around body image and the other thing that when you say, I really like this, the intensity of the fitness and the martial arts, I really have to go in and ask what it is you really like. So we need to tell the truth around what you're getting off on, because because it could be the idea that I'm proving myself, I'm unique, I'm special. So how much narcissism has kind of pervasively invaded that emotion around it, versus I don't even care. I don't care if I'm fat or thin. I don't even care if they're better than me. None of that matters. I freaking love it. Because I'm not hearing that from you.
Yeah,
I'm hearing.
No, I can see how I was, and that was like 6 years ago now, but it was definitely wrapped up in an inferior, superior. Like, I didn't understand or grasp.
Yeah, of course.
That concept really.
Yeah,
until I heard you talk about it, and I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. Yeah.
Well, if you're not aware, because we're human, and some of these emotions, if we don't ever question where our emotions are coming from, or where, this is something I learned after recovery, or in recovery after recovery, was that every emotion I experience has context. Everything I'm experiencing has context, not just around what I perceive, but the intensity of my conclusion to what I'm perceiving, right? So if you believe, for example, that person is egotistical and the intensity is high, you're going to get angry. You're going to start to not like the person. Disconnect, right? So the context around your thoughts is something I want you to start to observe. I have this emotion. I'm angry. And you're recognizing the emotion, which is good. right? So you're there. You got that aspect. I'm angry. Some people don't even know what those emotions are. They just are, So why? Like, where is it coming from? Am I really a victim? So one thing to look at too is all of survival is based in victim, the whole thing. Whether you're a victim to the environment or you're a victim to your weakness. I suck. I'm incapable. I can't handle this. That's when people shrink and hide and deflect and deny and go into apathy and go into, I'm guilty. I can't handle this. And then I am a bad person, which is the shame aspect.
Right.
When you're a victim on the upside of survival, it's they did that to me. I'm going to kick their ass. I'm going to, vengeful sinners. The concept of sin is actually a guilt. That's really low. That's like 30 on a scale of consciousness. It's like really low. So then the criticism of someone else that way puts you in a position of superiority, which is inflating yourself above others. And that's on the flip side of that shame. You have to really look at how much of your life have you been in survival mode thinking it's normal. Well, let me change my wording. I'm going to change my wording there. Thinking it's appropriate.
Right, yeah. And I would say I think I grew up that way and did not know there was something different almost. Like, I didn't click how to get to something different. And then you're like, what's wrong with me? That's
maybe I should buy a new house. Okay, we should get a new car. I should get a dog. Let's get a dog. Okay, maybe that I need a new purse. I need a new friend group. Let's do a book club. Okay, maybe I need to start a new fitness class. I should do a cleanse. Let's do a cleanse. Maybe I'm eating too much sugar. You're never looking at yourself.
Right.
And it's not even yourself often. I mean, because when you're in that state of mind, you're constantly thinking about yourself in relation to, in comparison to others, because your sketchy, shifty eyes survival mechanism, but it's you're not looking at the belief system you're holding onto. So this goes back to the dogma. So how much dogma have you internalized without questioning as true and therefore not negotiable and shouldn't even be brought forward into consciousness? So what happens with dogma is it often becomes unconscious bullshit that that's driving you.
Right.
And so to be able to go, how many beliefs have I internalized that aren't working for me? Even though I've praised them, I have promoted them, I had sentimental attachments to this, I glamorized it. How much of it am I willing to face the cognitive dissonance that it's bullshit? It's harmful, at least for me, in the state of mind I'm in. It eventually wore me down, and it actually started to create these walls that were collapsing in, and I couldn't breathe anymore, even though I still sustained these belief patterns and thoughts because I thought I was the problem, not the walls.
Yeah.
That are collapsing in.
And I literally, was feeling like I was suffocating. I would wake up and, feel like I couldn't breathe. Like I was dying. I can't breathe. Like, I kept just feeling this sense of not feeling like I can breathe, even though obviously I'm breathing. But I did really strongly feel that.
Yeah, that's anxiety. So what was that attached to?
It was, I don't even know, but it seemed to start coming regularly, and I especially noticed it around the full moon. The full moon would come, and I would be like, I feel like I think it just... Okay, so
I totally agree with the moon shit. I do. Okay, so besides that, are you feeling does it have anything to do with homeschooling or the fear you have about how you're parenting?
I think it did, and we actually didn't get married that long ago, and just the whole, why am I getting married? Am I getting married for this reason or that? Or, guilt and obligation.
I see. Okay, so why are you afraid of marriage?
Like, I'm going to lose any chance to have an identity, which I've never been able to. I feel like I've never established.
I see. Okay, so you're projecting your past marriage onto this one. And your relationship with probably your dad onto this one, too.
Yes, totally.
Daddy issues. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, major dad issues here.
So are you willing to be rejected and abandoned by your father in order to be authentic?
Well, he's actually disowned me, so yeah, it's not really common.
But do you feel shame about it? Do you carry the shame that if I were better, if I could, do you give him credibility or do you hold any resentment?
Not really anymore, because he's kind of gone off the deep end on a religious way to where it's kind of obvious to everybody. I think for a long time I did, but I also can see the shackles that he's in to feel like he has to be the best of whatever.
He's probably
the best rat in the race. Right?
He's probably got some issues he's not divulging to anybody, and he's coping. It says like drinking. Like don't come out and talk about your porn addiction, buddy, or the fact that you're an alcoholic. Don't tell anybody that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm making an assumption with all of that, but there's, the poor guy. I do have a lot of compassion for that too, because that's ultimately where I was in my own crazy with thin supremacy and my fitness supremacy and my health supremacy and the whole body image concept. It's the same thing. It's just with a different entity. It's still how do I identify myself? And he's identifying something that he thinks is keeping alive, but ultimately is disconnecting him and killing his life, and he's probably miserable, and you can feel sorry for him. Okay, so back to the daddy issues. There's only a daddy issue if you hold him credible. Or if you hold resentment. Or,
well, I can see, as you were just the whole concept of superiority and how I was just shaming myself for, we didn't do it good enough. Nothing's good enough. I always had that, my entire life is not good enough. And I can see how I was operating from a position of that being my mindset. And I can see that it came from a lot of my dad.
And he was brainwashed by culture. So it's not even your dad's belief system.
Yeah, exactly.
And his parents probably... Well, you got to think, too, about that generation coming. His parents' generation was the... Well, they were the post-World War II, the greatest generation ever in their full-fledged narcissism, misogyny, and racism.
Yeah. And my grandparents were it was we're French, you can't marry anybody who's not French. And my grandmother took a bathing suit, took a bath with a bathing suit on. She's not it's a sin to look at yourself or something. It's serious.
Separation. Okay, so we can sit here and judge. We can sit here and judge that generation. Well, the thing is that generation, the first generation to carry a narcissistic belief system? No, it's been passed down for generations after generation after generation after generation. So we can sit here and blame generations, and they can sit here and blame our generation. But the reality of it is we're all doing the best we can with what we're aware of, and we can't do better than that.
Right.
And so as we become aware, is it fair to criticize those who are not yet aware?
No, it's totally not.
And so you give it grace, but you have to give yourself grace. So you're aware, but where's the grace?
Yeah, I have to give myself
the beauty of that grace is that you're allowed in that space to continue to do the best you can with what you're aware of. Nothing has to change. How cool is that? Because there is no, if you got to be better than this, that's like saying you can't be what you are, which is exactly what you are and what you're aware of. And you can't be aware of what you're aware of. You have to be more aware beyond that before you even beyond that awareness. So once you give it grace, you are to be where you're at. And there is nothing you can do. There is no self-help book that is going to do anything for you.
Right.
Even the YouTube videos of mine that you're listening to, how much impact are they really going to have if there's like yours, there's knowledge, but there's no internal shift.
Right.
They're going to do nothing for you. You have to have an internal shift that comes from within. It doesn't come from watching a YouTube video of someone talking about it.
And that's why I figured I needed to call you to go on my own personal journey, because I knew that I could, like, sit here for the next 5 months watching YouTube videos.
Trying to sift through.
Beating myself up, you know, crying in my bathtub or something. You
know? I'm such a failure.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Right. Yeah.
Good for you, though. Okay, so let's talk about what we should do with this round. I think that's an important thing you need to. I can help you with this consultation right now. Let's talk about the plan here, because you do need some direction. If you were to stay on this round, I would do no more than 3 weeks. There's no reason for you to go longer than that.
I could, you know. I do feel somewhat reluctant just because I feel like I'm just tired of, like, pushing myself around. Like, I'm like, you know.
Okay, pause.
I beat a donkey so far.
Okay, so this pulls me back into, is this punishment? Are you feeling, and to go into the truth, we can create some freaking fantasy glamorized idea of what this is, but what is this really for you? Is this something that you think is the wisest thing for you to be on right now?
I think if I felt the grace that I wasn't addicted to food as if it was this, you know,
you're not
cocaine addiction or something, I could possibly just relinquish the diet and be like, I just want grace. Like, that's really what I want to feel. Like, I want to feel just okay with myself. I'm not sure if I really want to push myself right now.
So if that is the truth, and that's what's really underneath there, anytime you felt like you were being pushed on this protocol, what do you think would happen?
Well, I don't even think I'll probably lose weight.
No, well, you'll cheat. You'll cheat.
I'm just going to push myself, and I'll probably
You'll cheat. You're not going to, because that's, your true integrity isn't in it.
Right.
So what my answer is, you should transition off.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I relieved.
Okay.
I did not do a shot yesterday because I was thinking about transitioning off, and I was like, no, I'm gonna actually, like, sign up for a consultation. And then when you said you could actually talk to me today, well, I had done a shot this morning. But
okay, so hold on. There's more.
Fine with it.
Okay, okay. So then, so once you feel relief, now what? Because now what you're doing this for isn't going to be reached or attained. So there's a reason you wanted to do it that is no longer going to happen. How does that feel? Because that usually follows, right? That, oh shit, no, I needed to fit this span. I forgot that I wanted to try to fit in this, and there's that event, and there's all this shit, and I want to go back home to my husband and be like, look at me, I'm hot, you know, all that baggage.
Yeah. I actually don't feel that way. But, no, actually, I feel like I really didn't have a plan, so it just seemed like possibly the next logical step was maybe to do something about my weight. Because the kids I know aren't really, like, I'm not able to, like, think about going back to work or whatever at this exact moment, so I was like, I have time to just diet or something.
I see. So it's the timing of the, I just honestly, I think you should think about this, because I'm here on the outside. I don't know exactly what your needs are. Right? I am on the outside thinking from, okay, how do we get her to this expansive place? But what's the right route? There's so many ways to do it. And I've seen people stay on the protocol and fall on their face, which was the best thing they could have had happen to them.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to take that from you. At the same time, I've seen people who were on the protocol coming off of it was the most amazing thing because it forced them to face their issues with being overweight and obese or feeling inferior. It really forced them to deal with it and to actually relate to food without the extremism of the restriction. So it immediately opened them up to how easy it is to eat. Whereas you're not going to get that experience until you transition off the protocol and hope to God you don't attach that weight loss because you're going to binge first before we can release that.
Right.
I can't tell you which answer that's best. Now, when I say you should just transition off, the fact that you're not... So I was anticipating, there was an anticipation of you going, oh shit, I want to stay on. You didn't respond that way.
No, I think
because there's the oh, thank God I can eat. I feel, I'm having strain with food because I feel deprived. There's that aspect, but then there's the releasing of the thinness you were hoping for.
I through it a little bit. Like, I'll hear something that is like that cognitive dissonance that I'm like, I have no escape. I am like looking at this thing face to face, and it is so uncomfortable. And I just wish I was off the diet. And then it will actually pass. And then I'll be like, okay,
I didn't need food.
That
okay.
bad. Like, I'm still standing, and I haven't cheated or whatever.
Okay.
So I don't even know. I think I could kind of go either way.
Okay, so the benefit of staying, the benefit of staying on the protocol is the fact that you've already loaded. You've already been through your first week, which is the hardest.
Yeah.
If you go just another 2 weeks, keep in mind that whatever weight you're losing is going to come back. You just need to anticipate that. You need to assume that's what's going to happen, and you need to accept it. And that way you can stay relaxed in this process. As soon as you start getting attached to the weight loss, it's going to get very pressurized, very strained, and very tense.
Yeah. And I have definitely felt that.
Yeah, in the past.
With getting off HCG and not even knowing, like, what to eat or...
Yeah, and feeling pressurized.
To manage my weight and
and continue to starve yourself and then binging while you feel like I just need to eat something. Yeah. So at least with this you will have. So then stay on it. Let's just stay on it. Let's finish this out. How does that sound?
What's that?
How does that feel?
Probably do it. I definitely don't think I'm doing it for weight loss so much as like I like the stability of the sugar and all the like when I get to the binge. And
all that's going to come back when this is over.
Right.
If we aren't resolving the underlying issues around body image, victimization, all of your underlying issues, it's all going to come back. And then what's going to happen is we transition off the protocol is you're going to have to go back into the truth of food, the reality of the body when you eat food. So the best case scenario, if you're going to stay on it right now, in my opinion, would be that you do 3 weeks, no longer than that on the very low calorie protocol. You transition into the second phase of the protocol, which is low carb, low starch, but you're still allowed to have fruit. You're still allowed to have the crackers. What? Did she just say that? Yeah, those. That's what I do with the clients because it maintains the gut's ability to digest the gluten in the actual starch.
Okay, yeah, I like that. And I also have found when I've tried to cut out crackers that I get depressed.
Oh, well, of course you are. And not only that, but you become highly sensitive to
them. I don't want to talk to anybody. It's like, oh, I need a cracker. And then I'll eat one, and then I'll actually feel like I'm in a better mood. So,
yeah. Okay, so at any point you want to get off of it, you can get off of it. Obviously, I don't want to enable your lack of willingness to sacrifice for a big picture. But at some point, you're going to have to face some of these other issues you have with gaining weight right? So we haven't really talked about weight in this session. We've kind of been all over the place, just kind of going over the whole situation. But your overall concept of body image has to be resolved, right? What you expect from it, what you want. You can't go forward expecting to recover or to do better if you still hold your body to something other than it actually is.
Yeah.
You can't open your mind to experience life until you feel good with what it is, right? And that's the actual problem people have, is they're not good with what it is, so they don't feel like they can live their life or move forward, and they live their whole life held hostage to somebody they're never going to have, because they never really feel good with the body they're in. Even if it does get better, even if they do get plastic surgery, even if they do get that body, they still don't feel complete because it's a psychological and spiritual whole, not a physical one.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, I can see that. I like how you said something along the lines of basically the slower you go, the faster you get there. Like, I kind of realize that that's the right approach to take, so I'm okay with postponing whatever, if ever, gratification of, feeling healthy or whatever.
Well, we have to question we have to question your concept of what health is.
Right.
What is that? What is it? How does someone experience health who is born with disfigurement?
Right.
What's the concept of health for someone who has, disease?
Yeah.
I don't know. You really have to question what this concept of health is. It's like the concept of spirituality. What does that mean to someone who's a religious zealot? It's a concept. Right. And they're more connected with the concept than they are their own spirit.
Right.
Right. Same thing with body image. You're more connected with the image of what you think you should be than your actual what the body is. So you have to actually go into existing as it is, and then let your reaction surface. What'll happen is people often go into denial because they assume at some point it'll get fixed. What if it's never going to get fixed? Just imagine that you'll always be 160 pounds to 170 pounds for the rest of this body's life. That is where it is meant to be.
Yeah.
What comes up?
I think I almost would be like, well, I better start dancing flamenco then. There's nothing to wait for. Whatever. I guess I was waiting for this concept, and then I'm like, well, or I'm just gonna enjoy other artistic or whatever pursuits and just be like, whatever.
Well, that's novel. Oh, I should just start living my life. This is so a lot of people don't realize that they have been holding themselves hostage. You've been grounded. You haven't allowed yourself to do what's like. Imagine you telling your daughter, I don't know if you have a daughter, but a daughter, she can't go to dance because she's overweight. She can't go to yoga. She's overweight. Imagine you won't let her go to the beach. You won't let her go out because she's overweight. How that would impact her psychologically.
Right. Yeah.
How do you think that would impact her relationship with food?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be highly strained.
Yeah.
She's going to go into starving herself so that she can do what she feels that she wants to do with her life. Ultimately, though, triggering binging would then create an incredible sense of guilt and shame. And then continued starving, and it becomes a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Just think about that.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Well, you've done it. So if you've stopped doing what you want to do and you've stopped enjoying life, why are you hiding from it?
I did this weird thing where I decided to bring my creativity home, and I heard you mention once, because I picked up knitting a while ago. But then I became like a fiber, like I have a spinning wheel, I have like a loom, I've like dyed yarn, I do every form.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
Like watercolors, like I've like got, like I'm doing color, like I'm doing all these things, but I think what I did was I wanted to contain my creativity to the four walls, because then I could still be creative, but I didn't have to leave the house because I didn't feel good about myself. So then I was like, oh, like, you know, so I need to like feel like I can be creative and not in front of other people.
Okay, that's what I was just going to say, why other people's opinion you've also verbalized in this consult matter.
Yeah.
So we have to really look at where their opinion matters more than your actual life source and the creativity of life, right? This comes to probably a little bit of trauma. Abandonment, disapproval, being seen as inadequate, and even if you're given the sense of adequacy, often feeling objectified.
All of
you just don't want the attention.
Right. Yeah.
You don't want anybody's opinion, so you have to question why anybody's opinion is even relevant.
Right.
So if someone gives my book a bad review, good for them. That's probably true relative to the context that they were hoping for. It probably did suck.
Mm-hmm.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah, I can see how I've definitely been just sort of manipulated in a sense by wanting to please, or just, some sense of conformity in my own family growing up.
Yeah, well, that's just wanting to be accepted and wanting to feel like you have value in that. And that's so like, of course, you're born and you have a family and you believe that they are the best, right?
Right.
And you're just like, they know what they're doing. They're an adult, and they can often use anger and force and abuse, and you don't know it.
Right.
You don't know that they're fear-mongering you. You just believe it, and you're wired to believe it. I mean, there's nothing is wrong has occurred here. You're just stuck in that state of you're not you're not autonomous yet. You haven't flown off the nest yet. You're an adult who is still afraid to have free agency, the freedom, and
I think even as a mother, especially like a stay-at-home mom, and like then the homeschool, it's like, getting into like a traditional role system where I almost feel like I'm in like the 50s or something. Like the textbook, like it's like the whole thing sucks because it's 2018.
Yeah,
and I'm like a child woman. I hate it. I like feel like.
Well, you have to be okay with your weakness. You have to be okay with that. You've got to understand, how old do you think you really are? I mean, there's a physical age, but how old are you really? When did you leave yourself and stop being real and start being fake? When did that happen? Do you know?
I am assuming probably teenage years, but
for me it was like 4 years old. I was young.
I also know, when my firstborn, against what my parents judged, I actually went to Italy and lived there for like a couple years, and I actually love learning languages. I was interested in like translating or whatever, and I ended up getting pregnant.
God, good for you.
I was told I need to give up the baby, or what are you going to do, carry the baby around in a backpack? Like, I felt shame about being me. Like, I needed a family. I had to, I was not providing or something. And, like, I think at that point, I really kind of closed down who I was trying to express myself as. And that was my early 20s. So.
Have you since then had any coping mechanisms? Besides dieting and besides, how have you managed? How have you stayed
I think I was just trying to be the perfect, like I had this sense of perfection, like I was going to be
the best mom,
the best Christian, the best everything,
okay. So you devoted your effort in work, and that's a lot of effort in work, okay?
Yeah.
Into that harnesses, and that you could say that was good for you at the time. It gave you something to do. It gave you a central focus. It gave you something, an outlet. It gave you a connection to something that you thought would bring you joy and happiness, or at least give you some sense of empowerment or confidence or whatever it is. But it's attached to something outside of yourself. It's not actually real. It's attached to this concept or ideology of what a wife is, what a mom is, and it's all based on what you've been told. It's not necessarily coming from who you really are.
Yeah.
Would you agree? It's always like, what are the rules? What are the rules? Are they doing it right? Am I doing it right? They're not doing it right. I'm doing it right.
Yeah, no, totally. Right.
Like, oh my God, she doesn't have the seatbelt right. Where's the seatbelt? Did she just feed her kid that? Oh my God, that's wrong. She shouldn't feed. And then you're sitting there going, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Did I feed her the wrong food? Should I be getting something different? Should I make my own baby food? Oh my God, should I be using cloth diapers?
Yeah, no, I totally did the cloth diapers. I made my own baby food.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to say.
For a while, like I home birthed. I was like, I was gonna do it.
Cool. Okay, you've actually had really cool shit in your life so far. Flown to Italy, got pregnant, became a doula. My God. So you haven't, the good news is you're energized. You are, even though you're in survival mode, you're above paralysis, which is good. Okay, which is, it's improved and it's energized. But are you fatiguing yet? You fatiguing? Because it's a lot of work up there. You're a slave. You become a slave.
I'm sorry, I missed the last thing you said.
I said you're doing well in your survival mode. You're kind of at a higher energy. You're devoting energy and working hard. It's a sign you feel somewhat capable, or the fantasy is reachable, right? But the problem with it, the pride and the
like I did achieve what I wanted, but I sacrifice myself, my own sense of self.
Yeah, you become a slave. That's the problem with the higher levels of the lower levels. So when you're in it's not the flight mode of survival. It's in the fight mode of survival. You become a slave to the fighting, to what you're doing to manage everything you're doing, and you really have to look at it and go, should anybody have to work this hard and be this devoted and obsessed and shackled and have no freedom whatsoever just to be okay? It's not even good. It's like you're working as hard as an Olympic athlete, but there's no Olympics for you. You just get to live like that.
Yeah, totally.
So that's why I asked. I said, are you getting fatigued yet?
Oh, am I getting beat yet?
Fatigued. Are you done?
I'm exhausted. This donkey has been like this all the way.
Yeah, well, because you can look back and go, God, I was in my 20s and I had the energy, but you also were so naive. And putting all of this energy and devoting it in areas that didn't really fulfill you. They might have been good in the moment and you might have loved it and enjoyed it, but in the end, have you always kind of had this whole,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's not to say that some of those things weren't good or that they didn't bring you something positive. It just, you were seeking, you thought that it would change your state of being. And you do it and you're like, yeah, I enjoy it, but I still have these issues. It's not really getting that feeling is still there. And maybe I should try something different, The problem too is when you attach pride to these things, like you attach pride to, let's just say, your fitness level, okay? if you attach pride to that, you are now a slave to it, because if you let it go, you will go down into shame and you'll go into hiding.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, okay, so now I'm connecting dots. There was a very prideful time in your life. And you are now
I also felt like I was like getting like my own identity. Like I actually was like becoming like, it felt like I was becoming autonomous, but then I was presented with this opportunity to actually have like this family, and I'd always wanted family, you know, like a unit with marriage and like, you know, anyway.
Security and the system. You could comply to the system, and it is beneficial. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not. It is beneficial to be assimilated into a culture. You know, when you went to Italy, you assimilated into their culture. Should you not have? You know what I mean? So and it sounds too that you got the benefit of your parents' approval at the same time.
As far as with
getting married, going to church.
Oh, yeah.
You better stay on this path.
My dad was like, because he's Protestant versus Catholic, I have to get him to the good side.
Oh my God. That is so.
He didn't come to our wedding actually because I wasn't gonna be like doing this Catholic thing with it. It was like, yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I know.
That poor guy is miserable, but you know what? I'm no different. In my religion, you have to be the religion. I don't mean to say it, but you cannot go to weddings unless you are an upstanding member of that religion. And I haven't gone to any of my family's weddings. My siblings, and until they left the church, and then they got remarried out of it, and then I got to go to their weddings. But no, I had to sit outside. Yeah, my sister's wedding, my brother's weddings, all of my.
That's nuts. Yeah,
it is what it is, and you know what? I don't feel bad. There's no harm. It's like, but that's the way it is. That's just people don't see it.
Yeah.
They don't see it what that is.
Yeah.
You know, I was raised in it too, so to me it wasn't like, what? It was like, of course I'm not willing to do what they want me to do to go into, I'm not willing to do it. I'd rather go to hell. It doesn't work for me. I'm happy for them. I want them to do what they want to do, and I'm super pumped and supportive. You know, but sometimes that narcissism. And good people don't know that that's what's going on. They're good people.
No. Yeah, they're trying to be good people.
They are.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I think almost everybody's good. Even your father is good. He loves you that much.
Yeah,
he loves you that much.
Yeah, that he has to make a point because he loves me so much that
he wants you. He wants you to fit inside his tiny little box because that's what he's comfortable with. He doesn't feel capable of anything other than that. He devoted himself to it, and it's brought him so much narcissistic pleasure and pride that he wants you to have it too.
Right.
Not realizing that there's so much beyond that. And it's not even about that religion. It's about the indoctrination and the zealotry and the strictness that is promoted in a religion based on the survival mechanism the person's in. So we could sit here and religion bash, but it's really not about that. It's about the narcissism of people who are using religion to survive. And that's where shit gets ungraceful, unforgiving. This or that, them or us, right and wrong. Sin, which is way down there in consciousness. Guilt and shame, which is what I ended up having because of the religious zealotry, the strictness of it.
Definitely.
Oh my God.
Had to work through that. So, which I do feel like I kind of have.
Yeah.
I've definitely come to peace with it. I understand. I kind of already. So.
Yeah. Well, we need you to come to peace with your own identity.
Residual, right. So I can see how I was sort of. I still I love giving and to my family. I love all of that, but I do, want to have something for myself again. So.
Well, this is exciting.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you. I mean, seriously, this is, oh my God, she's having a midlife crisis. Yes. Isn't it awesome?
It's awesome. It's very graceful.
Right? That's right. And you should too. And you can have a crisis. It's amazing. And it's only a crisis to the fake. I mean, you're getting rid of what's not real.
Yeah. Yeah, and I honestly, like, I'm so disgusted by it. I'm like, get off of me. Like, this pattern, like, I see it, and I just, like,
you're done.
Shoo, go away. I'm so done. Like, I didn't realize I had it, but now that I know, like, just get out.
Yeah, well, you recognize that it's a part and it promotes the misery that you're really in. And so when you see that, it's easy to let something go when you actually can see and become aware that some of these patterns, again, promote some of your darkness. And if you want out of this darkness, it's like, well, maybe I should stop looking forward to get out, and maybe I need to look backwards. Mm-hmm. Maybe I need to look, holy shit, I never thought to look that way. I always thought it was somewhere ahead of me, not realizing that it's actually coming from the dark, these belief patterns that are in the back.
Yeah, it's an awful idea.
Right?
Oh, my goodness.
So what were you wanting to do? What do you want to do?
Well, I am nervous about I guess given my past pendulum style and also the, like, victim mentality, like, as I'm moving forward, I definitely like your super cut and dry. Like, the last thing anybody needs somebody to feel sorry for them. Mm-hmm. That's, like, the worst thing. So I like that you would pick it out and be like, hey, what is that? What's that hiding out in the back closet over there that you kind of forgot about? So...
Well, that's a sign that you really want to get out, If you weren't willing... Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you weren't willing to put yourself in vulnerability, you would not have contacted me.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm doing is I'm just giving you an outside perspective. And sometimes that outside perspective is the truth. At least I try to hold myself to a level of honor and truth, and I keep myself out of it, but sometimes the truth is what you need to pull out. Telling the truth is often this, such a transformational process because you're no longer held hostage by the lie or hiding the truth.
Yeah, and I didn't realize, like, I always considered, like, narcissistic, like the person who's, I don't want to say more like my dad, but like that style of people.
Yes.
Sort of thing.
Yes.
I didn't see it as the victim person who's like, a victim of all of this.
That is the source.
Really bad and ashamed of myself, and nothing's good enough, and all that kind of stuff that comes up.
You didn't see that.
And I was like, okay.
Well, it's...
Same.
It is. It's just, it's how you're reacting. It's still self-centered, self-preservation. There's no accountability. There's no taking responsibility. There's a lack of humility in all of it. And so many people criticize. I mean, we can sit here and shame narcissism and say it's a bad thing, but in reality, it's just survival mechanisms. And it's all about self-preservation, which serves a good purpose until it stops serving that purpose and it causes just damage to yourself and everybody around you, right?
Right.
And it manifests differently. It's not always the same douchebag who thinks his shit doesn't stink.
Right.
And how people who are in shame, oftentimes they are that narcissist. They just didn't know it because they fail and suck and feel ashamed of themselves. Shame is the opposite of pride. That pride at the top, the inflated idea of yourself. The person in shame is still holding on to some inflated idea of themselves.
Right. Because inferior can't be if there's no superior.
You got it. You got it. That's right. And so the question is, are you willing to be inferior?
Totally. In
Me
fact, I
too.
actually told my husband that because I was thinking about starting an online business, and I was like, but then everybody would be like, I could see people being like, oh, you're so lucky. You can just you just have all this time on your hands to get whatever job you want. And I was like, honestly, I want to go work at the gas station. I actually just want to be nice. I want to be nice.
Yeah, go work at a vet's office. Go work at an animal shelter.
Yeah, I just want
go work at Costco.
Costco. And I don't know if I want to be isolated because I was thinking about doing some sort of online thing. I was like, no, actually, I've already been in these 4 walls, so I probably do need to get up. But I don't want a great job.
Yeah.
And then also for my family, it's almost like an inconvenience for me. It's like a luxury to have a job because it's actually more convenient for me to be obviously everybody's back to call because that's
totally.
how I've always been.
I'm and the hard thing with children is that it is kind of hard to have a full-time job and have kids at home. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So you'll find something. I don't think you need to rush into it at the moment. I wouldn't rush into it right now when you're still trying to resolve your kind of foundation. Yeah. How do you know what you're going to want to do if you don't even know yourself yet?
Right.
It's kind of like you got to get to know yourself. You got to get to know what brings you excitement. That has nothing to do with the extrinsic bullshit of people's approval or disapproval or whatever it is. Who cares what anybody thinks? So what if you want to do an online job? So what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares if you're home? Why does it matter to anybody but you? It's your life. Yours. It's not their life. It's yours. They should do what's right for them, and you should do what's right for you. So that's a part of the process, too.
The criticism, I have a really, the whole, if anybody gives me criticism,
that says a lot about you.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with you.
Yeah, I'm definitely have to work on that one.
Yeah, that's where I would hone in. Right there.
Yeah.
Because that's a sign you don't feel good about yourself. So you're sensitive to it. So basically, they're just what you feel inside. If they acknowledge what you already feel, you're pissed at them, not at yourself.
Yeah. And I almost, as I was saying that, it came up, I made straight A's in school. I worked to be perfect, and then I still, all felt not good enough. And so then I'm I'm really trying the best I can here, and, and then I feel that anger, so
you have to accept
perfectionism that I felt like I was, doing the best I could, and then people are still criticizing me, and
well, why do you need their validation?
Right.
So we have to so there's a little work in here. There's definitely some things that I'm hearing, and I'm like, okay, there's that, there's this. And this isn't complicated. I know it feels probably complicated to you, but it's if you are ready and you're not having to be convinced, right?
Right.
This is gonna be awesome for you.
Okay.
Someone that's like, I'm skeptical. I don't really want to do it. She says, why the hell are you even contacting me? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's like you want me to proselytize to convert you into this. No. I'm not doing that.
That's not your
job. You're doing a good job right now. You're actually, this should work for you. Okay, I'm going to stop recording.